Hello, I'm James Cridland, the radio futurologist, and every couple of weeks or so I write a piece all about the future of radio and radio's international trends and all of that. And this is it for the 2nd of May 2023. It's called AM Radio's US Defenders. I'm recording this on a Sennheiser Profile USB microphone, in case you wondered. So there we go. I've just been in Germany. I went to Berlin to be at a Spotify event, and while in the German Museum of Technology in Berlin, apparently Germans invented everything, I saw a thing called a city radio, which looked like an interesting device. It looked like a little sort of radio receiver, except it had buttons instead of a tuning dial, and the buttons had city names on them: Beijing, Berlin, Havana, Paris, Tokyo, and so on and so forth. Sadly, though, it isn't what it seems. It's a Bluetooth speaker, and you need your mobile phone somewhere close by to use it. For €99, I was surprised about how little you got for your money. You'll find a link to a review of that in the show notes and my newsletter at james.crid.land. Now, AM radio. Turned off in many parts of Europe already. It appears to be having a last-ditch effort in the US to keep it relevant somehow as car manufacturers pull it out of their new vehicles. GM has decided to go one further and will remove access to Apple CarPlay from their vehicles for some reason, although not quite sure why. Anyway, in a country where more than 50% of radio listening happens in a car, the figure for much of Europe is only about 20%, radio feels threatened in the US. Cumulus finds 82 million reasons to keep AM radio in vehicles, although much of the data actually relates to AM/FM radio, but it's a spirited defense nonetheless. The owner of WABC Radio, which is an AM station, just worth mentioning, in New York, John Catsimatidis, is leading a campaign to save AM radio, says a press release, and naturally, of course, it's being politicized, as seems to be the way in the US. It's a government conspiracy, apparently. Catsimatidis is offering a Save AM radio spot voiced by Mike Pence, because there's nothing that we need to do more than make this a red versus blue debate. As Bloomberg correspondent Liam Denning suggests, though, more than two-thirds of AM radio listeners in the US are older than 55, and the total AM radio reach has more than halved in the past 20 years. Fred Jacobs, too, is realistic about AM's future, pointing out that in the tech survey, which is made up of core radio listeners, fewer than a third of new car purchasers believe an AM radio is essential in the dashboard. He also writes more information for a website called Hypebot, and it's a great piece with data from Xperi, a company that collects in-car radio data. The main argument, though, appears to be, but emergencies. But FM radio also works in emergencies, of course, as do mobile phones. And mobile phones have a priority setting to enable important users like police and fire crews to get access, even if the cell site is otherwise swamped. And AM radio is only going to work in an emergency if A, you have one, B, you know the frequency to tune into, C, the transmission tower is unaffected, which is not a given, and D, a station actually broadcasts emergency information, and not just automated satellite-fed stuff from hundreds of kilometres away. FM stations broadcast just as much emergency information as AMs, and frankly I'm not sure that this argument has legs. That said, Edison Research shared some heartening research about in-car listening overall, ending with a comment saying, for radio listeners of all ages, the best thing for radio is an in-car interface that makes both broadcast and digital audio easily accessible. And yes, to that, because the interface is the important thing, and possibly one of many reasons why AM radio is failing so hard. It's a dumb, poor-sounding experience that's hard to present on the same screen as RDS-FM, as DAB, or satellite radio. Meanwhile, if your flagship services are on AM, what's your strategy? Because you need one. Elsewhere, I linked to an impressive compilation of top-of-hour sequences from BBC Radio Manchester from a few years ago. Very nice. It consists of a throw-ahead to a show later in the day or week, followed by what you'll hear in the next half hour. Then a really clear station ident with a clear list of platforms. Then the pips. Then news headlines, sports headline, weather headline, travel headline, then a station ident, and then there you go. It's a very impressive thing. Here, have a listen to one of them.
The clues are written.
We just need your help to solve them.
It's Manhunt with Chris and Emma.
Saturday from 11.
On the way this afternoon, we honour our own homegrown inspirational women and a Gardener's World celebration of our favourite UK gardens, the pick of the bunch in the UK. And guess what? Tatton Park is one of the top favourites.
95.1 FM.
DAB Digital Radio.
And the World Wide Web.
With Bezic at breakfast.
BBC Radio Manchester.
At 2 o'clock, make space in your wallet and purses. Greater Manchester's to trial ID cards and relief for the family of an Oldham toddler who put a needle in his mouth at a doctor's surgery. In sports, Bolton award Jääskeläinen with a testimonial.
Well, this afternoon the rain will eventually clear, but it's breezy. Top temperatures 16 Celsius.
No accidents or incidents to tell you about this lunchtime, but the roadworks continue on Deansgate with the A56 closed outbound at Blackfriars Road.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Steve Saul, Manchester.
Very impressive, if you ask me. And hello, ABC Local Radio, who don't even reliably ident the station at the top of the hour at all. For all that's impressive about that clip, though, there's plenty that's unimpressive about BBC Local Radio. I link to a piece from Bill Rogers, who posts a talk-up of a Radio Ulster show, which just sounds so dull. Tea Time gets a reboot as Vinnie Hurrell and Kate Conway come together to kickstart evenings on the station. It includes something called The Mystery Mixtape, half an hour of songs transporting listeners back to a chosen year. Yes, because that's what local radio is all about, isn't it? Not. And it's also very puzzling how BBC Local Radio is so unimportant that Radio 5 Live doesn't even give it an opt point in the morning when they're opting out of 5 Live for breakfast. Another radio tech company has jumped headlong into AI-powered DJs. It's the turn of Enco, who have launched 2 new tools. Meanwhile, in the UAE, 102.4 Mirchi has apparently introduced the world's first AI presenter on a commercial radio station, which is a thrill. Some fascinating data that I linked to as well today from my newsletter. Listeners to reheated radio shows on podcast platforms are older, less well-educated, and 2/3 male, whereas native podcasts do much better, the data says. It's data from France, from Acast. And last Monday morning, captive in an Uber, I was listening to Triple J and Bryce and Dee, who are doing breakfast. And during the 7:05 a.m. presenter break, whichever of the duo is a bloke, said the word shit 3 times. Shit as an exclamation, that's real shit as an expression of approval, and a bit shit as a description. The song the station then started playing after this presenter break contained the chorus, "We're always doing the same shit. I'm clearly getting old, but shit, that shit sounded a bit shit." Meanwhile, in biscuit news, if you don't have any calls, if you're desperate for a fun phone-in topic, try biscuits. Kay Burley on Sky News in the UK seemingly ran Best Biscuit as a talkback piece recently, and the Times of London also ran an important piece of research about biscuits, though it did get confused with the definition and let a Jaffa cake through, which of course is not a biscuit. Also, you should try What Candy Did You Have When You Were a Child, and if you're Triple J, why doesn't dog shit turn white anymore? And thank you to Richard Hilton and James Masterton, as well as Brunn Audio Consulting, Soma, FM, and Media Realms radio websites for your ongoing support of this newsletter and podcast. If you'd like to support my work in any way, you can buy me a coffee. Become a member to give me regularly a system that now works, you'll be glad to know. Or just give a one-off coffee or 5. Buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland is where to do that. I'm at the New Zealand Podcast Summit in mid-May in Auckland, the Podcast Show 2023 in London at the end of May, and Radio Days North America in Toronto in early June. My contact details are available at james.cridland.net if you're there as well. I should also mention in early June, Pod News Live, which is a conference all about podcasting, which you should come to. It's in Salford, next to Manchester. Podnews.net/live has all the details. I'm on Mastodon if you want to get in touch with me, or indeed on Nostr. Just search for james@crid.land, and you should find me. And my professional website has more details about who I am and what I do, and whether I can help you further. But until next time, thanks for listening, and keep listening.